welcome to the bonus episode of Wheels of Fury. That's pretty cool. I was going to talk about actually wanting to do this pay-per-view next week, but next week is the original Backlash.
This year's version.
This year's, yeah.
This time around, we're going ahead a few years from 2001 to 2004.
And it's not the pay-per-view that I thought, but this is still a pretty good pay-per-view. This is, of course, when they did the brand split.
Yes.
And so Backlash did Raw. I'm assuming that SmackDown was No Mercy.
Probably, yeah.
So,
Actually, pretty well remember this pay-per-view. There's one specific match that I remember quite well, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
so go on to Sunday Night Heat. We'll talk about the pre-shows anyway. You have VENIS versus Matt Hardy, defeating Matt Hardy.
Yes.
And pretty cool, you know, just to see Peterborough's own VENIS. Well, he aka comes from Toronto, aka from Las Vegas, so
Yeah.
defeating Matt Hardy in this one. Then we had, well, the pay-per-view itself.
Yeah, they only had one match.
Yeah.
The pre-show start things off with SHELTON Benjamin against the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Woo. Yeah, you know, it's just kind of pretty cool how the Nature Boy, as much as I hated his guts back then, yeah, for a guy his age, still was a fairly good wrestler.
And to be able to have a match and to keep up with a guy like SHELTON Benjamin, who is probably 20 to 30 years his junior.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Shelton Benjamin now, and he's still pretty relevant. Like, a pretty good wrestler. Like, I don't fucking...
Yeah, he can still go in the ring. He's bulked up since his last run. I mean, you look at SHELTON Benjamin 2000... Well, his first go-around, 2004 and earlier, whatever, he was well-muscled and slim. You look at him now, and he's muscled, but he's not really fat. He's just bulky.
You know, I look back at our last review that we just did. I talked about Gold Dust. And you know, you look at Dustin Reynolds and you think, okay, here's a guy that went from being the typical wrestler back then to Gold Dust, then leaving, then coming back, ballooned up, you know. Then I believe he went to TNA as Black Rain.
Yes.
Which apparently the entire time he was Black Rain is when he had his drug problems. So, yeah, no, you know, and they come back to WWE, still looks like thick, whatever. So, you know, eventually he left, he came back drug-free, alcohol-free, whatever, and buff as shit. And
yeah.
He can go like a 20-year-old still.
Oh, yeah, he can... Gold Dust now can go like Gold Dust mid-90s.
The guy's almost 50.
Yeah.
And he moves like a 25-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever.
And see, that was the interesting thing about Gold Dust. He started, of course, in WCW was Dustin Rhodes, the Natural. Had that unique entrance music, and then he came to WWE, went the Gold Dust route, did that for a while, then they did the whole artist formerly known as Gold Dust, which is really messed up and bizarre and freaky and weird, and then yes, he left, went to TNA, did the whole Black Rain thing, which was Goldust if he was deranged and sick and twisted and dark, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in his abusive stage at that point, the drugs and alcohol or whatever, that he kicked that, came back to WWE, revamped the whole Goldust character, updated the look from like 2005, 2006-ish, and then, you know, they did the whole him and Cody who star as Golden Stardust, and then, you know, Cody left, went to Japan, TNA, Ring of Honor,
Yep.
and he's thriving there now. And Goldust is Goldust started doing what he used to do in his early days, when he would do a quote from a movie, say the name of the movie, and the year the movie came out. And he also started going a more heel route, and it's been pretty good so far, although he hasn't really done a whole lot since he's kind of turned heel. But other than that, it's been a fairly good run for Goldust since he returned.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a little sidetrack there, but Shelton Benjamin and Ric Flair are probably one of the best matches of that year. And I mean, I didn't say that about Ric Flair, and at that time I was not a fan of his. But you go on to Jonathan Coachman with Garrison Cade.
Garrison Cade
versus TAJIRI. That was an odd pairing.
Very odd pairing, and Coachman, yes, he wrestled, so to speak, but point blank, he sucked.
Yeah.
And he was basically a whooping boy.
Yeah.
TAJIRI or whoever they put him against.
And, you know, it's kind of weird how you put somebody who's a veteran, like Yoshihiro TAJIRI, against someone like Jonathan Coachman, who is basically Eric Bischoff's whipping boy. And so somehow he beat TAJIRI in this match. Just goes to show you that, you know, anything's possible. I'm sure TAJIRI used to have missed at some point.
Oh, probably.
So.
And I believe at this point, this was before he became Lance Cade and was partnered with Trevor Murdoch.
Yes. You know, and you, unfortunately, Lance Cade had passed on, and it's, you know, it's sad losing someone that young.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but
like, he was just my age, maybe a little over.
Wow.
He might have been 30-ish or so, but yeah, he was fairly young.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Exactly.
So now we go on to, since we're in Montreal, Canadian, Quebec, we have a Canadian match, Christian versus
Chris Jericho, in a handicap match with Christian and Trish Stratus.
Yeah. They talk about having a woman and a man in a wrestling match together. It's pretty cool. And this all goes back to WrestleMania 20. And Trish Stratus turned on Chris Jericho. And I gotta say that was probably one of the most shocking things at that time.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't expect the slaps.
Could she haul off and nail ya, boy? You
Yeah.
wouldn't want to piss her off over
Fuck no.
anything.
But I mean, she plays a good heel anyways. But this was a good match. Chris Jericho putting not just Christian, but Stratus in the Walls of Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
You have Stratus trying to get involved. You know, this was a good match, obviously. And the feud that Christian and Chris Jericho had, you know, even before that, they were in the Un-Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, just pretty interesting. And then Chris Jericho turned face.
Mm.
So this was pretty cool. And Chris Jericho ended up going over. Now, how many times can I say Chris Jericho?
It's the Chris Jericho drinking competition.
Yep. Yeah.
And for Trish Stratus to be able to hold her own against
Oh, yeah.
Jericho, it's pretty good.
Very, very well done. So then you have the women's championship match. You got Victoria, who defeated Lita.
Mm-hmm.
And these two really, I mean, I enjoyed the whole, and I probably mentioned that before, the whole thing with Victoria and Stevie Richards. And you have Lita, who can go in the ring herself, has injured herself due to the fact that she's that much of a risk taker.
Yeah, she's done some insane things and, yeah, paid the price for it. Not too bad, but a few career-changing injuries.
But this was pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of when women started to step away from the bra and panties and the lingerie pillow fight bullshit
Mm-hmm.
and actually be taken seriously somewhat. I mean, Survivor Series 2003 was Trish Stratus and Victoria in a hardcore match.
Mm-hmm.
So they were getting to the point now where women can be taken a bit seriously, but you know, it didn't last too long, right up until, well, now basically. But
Yeah. Women were getting better matches, but still short matches. And then eventually women got taken seriously to the point where they could have easily a 15 to 20 minute match, no problem.
yeah, but hell yeah, Trish Stratus and Lita main event Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And who could ever forget Lita taking that suicide dive, landing on the floor, and nearly bending him half backwards.
Oh yeah, Colin. Yeah, almost snapping her neck in two.
If she was any more flexible, I think the bottom of her boots would have conked her in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that we have a hardcore match for the Intercontinental title. You get Mick Foley. Yes, it says Mick Foley. No, Cactus Jack. Never mind.
And
First
Randy
is
Orton.
Randy Orton. And Cactus Jack being the hardcore legend, obviously. WCW, ECW, Truth and Consequences.
New Mexico.
Yeah. You know, and watching a match from 1987, and it was a jobber, Jack Foley,
Yes.
a young Mick Foley, who was in a match, and just the fact that he talks about how he got just potatoed and beaten up. But you get this match, and of course, Cactus Jack is your hardcore specialist.
Mm-hmm.
They pull out all the stops. At one point, he was going to set something on fire, and then Eric Bischoff comes out.
Yeah, the barbed wire baseball bat.
And I don't know if this is still going on nowadays, but fucking Quebec with their fire prevention law bullshit. So, we couldn't light anything on fire, I guess, in Canada at that time. So, but yeah, you got, you know, Randy Orton being introduced to the thumbtacks. You got them fighting on the outside, and the table with the barbed wire, and it's eventually what, you know, Randy Orton beat Cactus Jack to retain the Intercontinental title, but it goes to show you what kind of lengths that Randy Orton went through, that he can actually be in a match like that and still come out on top.
Yeah. This, I said earlier, there was a match on here that I remember quite well. This is the match I remember quite well because you see a guy like Randy Orton, and he's, you know, this third generation superstar, and, you know, a diamond in the rough, and became Intercontinental Champion, and then eventually World Heavyweight Champion, and just all around one of the best all-time performers ever. And for him to be put in a match with a guy like Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, and to do well, and for, I'm pretty sure, Cactus Mick to kind of guide him through it and go, you know, it'll be alright, you'll be fine, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and whatever. And, you know, it was a really good match. One thing that came to mind, though, was watching an episode of Story Time. It's a thing that came on the WWE Network not too long ago. And Randy Orton was talking specifically about this match and how they were going to use the thumbtacks. And Randy, not really having experienced thumbtacks or anything hardcore early on in his WWE career, and when he was in OVW, he was apprehensive, needless to say, and he had just a single thumbtack, and he carried it around with him just to kind of like mentally ready himself for like what he was going to be in for. And I think he was in like a hotel room or at home or something, and he put the thumbtack on the floor, pointy side up, I don't really know what to call it, and slowly kind of leaned back on it, and he realized how much it hurt, and then to be in the match and have 30 plus in you, and you're not wearing a shirt, you're only wearing elbow pads, trunks, and boots.
Oh god. I couldn't do it. Motherfucker, you know. But yeah, there you go. And that's the thing. Randy Orton was known as the Legend Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not a fan of his ever, but that guy could take a fucking beating. And oh yeah, for him to still come out unscathed, that was like, that was crazy. But yeah, then a tag team match. We got the Hurricane
and the shit.
What?
Shit?
The shit?
Rosie. What's the shit? Superhero in training.
Alright, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you got the Hurricane and Rosie against La Resistance.
I have forgotten about that.
Robert Conway and Sylvain Grenier.
Yeah. Quebec Zone, Sylvain Grenier. You know, I don't know how they got Rob Conway in there.
I don't know either.
You know, and they always had a different French poodle, and they called it Fifi. And so, it's like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, it was interesting because early on in the La Resistance days, it was Sylvain and René.
René Dupree.
And then, at some point, they brought in Conway, and it was the three of them.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, René Dupree decided to go a solo act, a singles competitor, and then it was just Sylvain and Robert.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, this was good.
Yeah, it was a fairly good match.
And, you know, it's like Rosie and Hurricane were one of the best tag teams for being that, you know, silly off the wall tag teams like you see now with New Day, let's just say, or whatever. But yeah, it was a pretty good match. Then you had Edge versus Kane.
Yeah.
Can't remember how this one went. Well, Edge ended up winning. So,
yes.
I mean, you got two of the best wrestlers who eventually would be in a feud in the next year. So, this is cool to see these two go at it once more. I mean, hell, I like to think that these guys, I don't know, I mean, Kane's a future Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, Edge is already
there.
There, yeah. So, it's pretty cool to see these guys actually have a lot of matches and just to see how good they are. You know, both Triple Crown champions. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you have the main event for the world title. You have Chris Benoit versus HBK versus Triple H.
Yeah.
And I know at that time, I mean, everybody knows now that I'm not a fan of Shawn Michaels. I mean, I respect the guy. You know, but at that time I was like, in my opinion, Shawn Michaels was the guy who always wanted to weasel his way in a match for the title. So he got the three-way match with Benoit and Triple H at 20, and he shouldn't have been there. Chris Benoit won the right to face Triple H, and Shawn Michaels decided to get himself involved, as is this fucking match. Well, anyways, it came out the same. Benoit beating the two and retaining the title. You know, I mean, pretty good match. You know, and it's unfortunate, again, with the circumstances with Benoit, but it was still like, well, I'll put it to you this way, Shawn Michaels and Triple H's match was better than their match at the Royal Rumble 2000 of that year. But it's cool to see Benoit win the match because originally being from Montreal, and you know him with the belt and the Canadian flag at the end.
Yes.
That's the only thing that I felt at WrestleMania 20 that it was really awesome to see that. So, yeah, and of course, after that, Triple H would become the world champion for a while. But this was a good match. What did you think?
These three guys, it didn't really seem to matter what combination of the three you had in the ring, whether it be Benoit and Triple H, Benoit and Michaels, Michaels and Triple H, whatever. You knew you were going to see a good match.
Yeah.
And no matter what the circumstances were that Shawn Michaels ended up in those matches, still a damn good match either way.
I mean, and that's the thing, I believe that because those two are best friends, they are very competitive. You know, see their matches with The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is yeah, I can't deny that Shawn Michaels is one of the greats.
Oh, absolutely.
In the business. And, you know, Triple H as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's unfortunate. But, you know, still a good match. This was a pretty good show, you know. I had thought originally that this was The Rock versus Goldberg, but that was a year prior.
And that was
so
previous years.
And, you know, he would, like, show up periodically on WrestleMania 20. He was there reunited with the Rock and Sock connection.
Yep.
With Mick Foley, and it was pretty cool, you know. Yeah.
To think, here's an interesting little tidbit for you. When Chris Benoit won the title at 20, he beat Triple H with a crossface. When he won the triple threat match at Backlash, it was Michaels tapping out to the sharpshooter, I think, or whatever. I think it was the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
So, one match he beats one guy. The next match, he beats the other guy. So, I mean... even though Shawn Michaels and Triple H are, you know, among the very best wrestlers of all time, Chris Benoit could hold his own with both of them, and yeah, be a world champion, and could have ended up being a Hall of Famer, but
yeah,
tis what it is.
Yeah, but this was a good pay-per-view, and I think the match of the night, well, as you said, has to go to Cactus Jack and Randy Orton. You know, these guys really put on a match, you know, and Randy Orton. I think in every hardcore match, it's like a wrestler's meet, because they go through those thumbtacks, and it's like, yeah, that's it. You know, you've pretty much
crossed the threshold from standard wrestler to a hardcore wrestler, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Randy Orton having this hardcore match with Cactus Jack. Fast forward to, was it last year? Or 2 years ago? The Punjabi prison match with Jinder Mahal?
I think it was last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, he had other matches in between there, but that just kind of goes to show you, like, at the start of him being getting involved in matches with stipulations and weapons and stuff like that was at that Backlash in 2004, and he still does periodically things from then on, and do, like, you know, the Punjabi prison match, and he had steel cage matches and other stuff like that. But it's just goes to show you, like, even though Randy wasn't very familiar with that style of match, and I'm sure nervous and scared to death and apprehensive and all that, whatever else you want to say, it goes to show you, like, you do one, okay, yeah, you're gonna hurt for a while afterwards, but it's like, okay, I've done this, what can I do next?
Yeah. Well, anyways, that was a good show, you know, and I think that not as good as 2001 or even 99, but next week Backlash is coming, and we will be doing a review of that.
Yes.
So for Killer Kyle, this is me, Matt, and this is a double dose of Wheels of Fury. So we'll see you guys